hear me. That's never been a problem in my life. My name is Angie Cruzen, and I am the Director of Operations for WBA. And we're just glad you guys are here. We have a lot to cover, so we'll get started. So we'll just introduce our board members that are here tonight. So I'll start with Matt. And he is our Director of Equipment. We have Dave, and he is our Director of Communications, Public Relations. I'm gonna find them all.
Director of Culture, Hakeem.
Jody's down there. She does our website. Darcy is our Program Development Co-Director. We have some that are in with the schools. Noel.
Girls Tournament Director.
And Stanley.
Stanley, I'm Treasurer.
All right, so, and then like I said, we have some that are in with the kids. I'm going to turn it over to Hakeem, and we're going to talk through our PCA.
Yeah, so as you can see quite clearly, no? So, hey, we're part of the Positive Coaching Alliance, and what that means basically is as we think about our parents, as we think about our players, as we think about our coaches, we want to ensure that we're aligned with an organization that's a national organization that has fundamentals and guidelines. And right now we have our 6th and 7th graders going through what it means to be a triple impact competitor. And so we have double goal coaches, second goal parents, and the guidance, and really the guidelines around this is that it's really focused on positivity. So reinforcement, that there's studies that show that, berating a kid right after a game when they're emotional as a parent and a player is the worst time and shouldn't be what we do, but how do we lift them up as parents? How do we help pick them up as coaches? And as players, how do we help them get past the mistakes and focus on, flush the mistake down, move on, and get focused on next play, mastering the game. And so we are proud to be, and we have been for over 3 years now, tied to the Positive Coaching Alliance, PCA. And so that's a big part of the reason that I'm here as a Director of Culture, is really ensuring that we infuse this and we continue to get better at Positive Coaching Alliance each year. And so last year, in addition to having the meeting that we would normally have with our parents and coaches, we for the first time had it with our 7th and 8th graders. And so this year we're having with the 6th and 7th. We'll keep working our way down until we catch everyone coming into the organization and can really reinforce it from the beginning. So that's that. Any questions on Positive Coaching Alliance? Okay, so look, you can't read it, you can't see it, but I'm just going to tell you, there's a few things that we want to make sure we focus on. And part of the reason why we have the parent meeting tonight is because we want to make sure that, one, you understand what are the expectations as a parent being part of Waconia Basketball Association. And so part of that is very much aligned with the Positive Coaching Alliance. And you will see later, so there'll be a link sent out after. And if you are a coach and if you're a parent, which you in the room, you'll receive a link. And we tried to make it easier. So those 2 sheets you have in front of you talk about the parent expectations, what the parent code of conduct, the parent pledge. You can see some of that information. But the goal there basically is to help you understand the Positive Coaching Alliance. We did it this way so that you wouldn't have to sit this year through an hour meeting of a Positive Coaching Alliance. So we thought you might want to get out of here at 8 instead of 9. So no need to pat us on the back or anything. We're not asking for it. I mean, if you want to clap, it's fine, but it's up to you. I'll wait. Oh, well. Hey, it's unexpected, but we really appreciate it. Thanks. We don't get too many of those, so we'll take it when we get it, even if we ask for it. So thanks. No, truly though, we want to make sure you understand what it means to be a second goal parent. And so that's why you have the sheets in front of you. That's why when the link goes out after, we'll ask you, instead of having the individual parent meetings and having you fill out the form and signing in those first week of kickoff meetings, we're just going to do it all online this year. And that will be your way of acknowledging that you've attended this. So questions on that? Okay, and so the other thing is, as parents, make sure that you get signed up on Sports Engine so that you're receiving the updates. It's our primary form of communication throughout the season. So we ask our coaches to make sure that they set up their accounts and that they're communicating to all of you. And hopefully they've reached out to you, but that they start to reach out to you through Sports Engine. So I have it set up where I get a notification that says, hey, WBA sent something on Sports Engine, and encourage you to do the same so that you don't miss anything. It's really good, especially during tournament times. Where are we eating? When does the game start? Hey, we're running a little bit early. You want to make sure that you're signed up for that. And then the thing that we've done it in years past, but we've asked, hey, midway through the year, end of the season, how did it go for you? So surveys, just ask that if you have a few moments, 5-10 minutes, you take time, let us know how we're doing, how's it going, how's the coaching, how's the practices. So just if we send those out, we ask that you let us know, and let us know how our coaches are doing throughout the year. So there is, you will see on the Waconia Basketball Association site, you will see a parent page. A lot of useful information out there for you as parents to see about PCA, to see about our philosophies, and just to understand a little bit more. So I encourage you to take a look at that if you have some time. All right. And you won't again see this, but the thing,
You're the best intention.
right? No, right? We wanted you to be able to see it, but it didn't work out that way. But the parent pledge, basically, and what we talk about is one of the things, and you'll go through this yourself, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, and you have it in front of you. But as a parent, basically, one of the things that we want to do is, as soon as we get in the car after the game, and say, what do you think you did wrong, or what could you have done better, right after that moment, and really trying, as we go through this, what we're asking the coaches to do is to help them focus on the things they can control, their effort, that they can focus on mastering the game. So instead of focusing on the moment, they focus on mastering the game, and then how do they rebound from that? And as parents, we ask you to help, to be basically their cheerleader, right? Because they're gonna feel one way or another after the game. If you lost, you usually feel pretty terrible. And as you're on that ride home, that's that moment where you're just like, hey, what could you have done better? It's like the opportunity to say, hey, let's just give them positive reinforcement. Or actually, in my family, we have to do it this way. We have to take do you want feedback? And if you do, you ask me. Because otherwise, and I know he wants it, but otherwise we don't even talk about the game until much later, so that I don't make it worse, which I can do. So that's that. So you'll have this, and so it just helps you with your role as a parent. And then from a player perspective, we'll go to the next one. Players, we're asking them, and they're going through the training right now, but we're asking them basically that they realize they are representing Waconia Basketball Association. They're representing you, they're representing themselves. And so we want them to honor the game, which means respecting others, which means respecting themselves, players, referees, the opponents. And so because they are representing us, and we're asking them to do that. And so the other thing, just from a Waconia Basketball Association, is during this time of the season, during basketball season, we ask you to make basketball the priority. We realize your kids, we love that they do all kinds of different things, and we want them to. We need to in a town like Waconia. We got to make sure that they are doing multiple sports. During basketball season, we ask them to make basketball a priority. And so attend all the practices. Obviously, there are situations that come up. Let your coaches know. Fill out the Sports Engine app. And even even encourage you to put comments in the note section as to why or what's going on, assuming it's not medically or something that you can't share, but out of town or whatever it may be. I can tell you as a coach, it's the earlier you do that, to fill out that your RSVP on are you attending these practices and things like that, the better it is for me, because I literally will have a different practice if I know I only have 8 versus if I know I have 9. I will just set up different plays, different drills. If I know I have 7 or 6, I'll do it even different. And so just encourage you to take the time to fill that out and come on time to practice, come prepared. I would tell the players, if you can get there a little bit early, get stressed out and warmed up before coming in so that you're ready to go right to practice right away. Any questions with that? Good? Okay. And then for some of you that are coaches, we're going to go through, we have a meeting right after this, and we'll go to D110, which is just down the hall right here, make a right, make a left, and then we'll go into that room. We're going to do our own Positive Coaching Alliance training. So we'll talk through what that means in terms of being a positive coaching, a double goal coach, and we'll go through what that means from that perspective. But some of the things that we've asked, and we've talked to most of the coaches already, but asked that you do a background check. And so we, and from the Waconia Basketball Association, we want to feel comfortable. We trust you, but we verify, right? So we go ahead and we do the background checks on all of our coaches, and we just want to make sure that we've done that. You should feel good as parents to know that we do that. Also, as part of the training, that they go through concussion training and coaching training. The concussion is a big deal. I think you all know we don't want to underestimate the impact of that, especially at this age, the long-lasting impact of concussion. So we really do ask our coaches to be knowledgeable and at least have that training and refresh it. You know, some of you probably have gone through it through different sports as well. I used to do it twice a year at the high school and also here. It's not going to hurt. It's only going to help. So just thanks for doing that in advance. And then with you as well, with one thing we ask for the coaches, at least once a year at the end of the year, we ask you to get together as a staff and pull together, fill out an evaluation form, because I just wanted everyone here in the room to know that we do use those evaluation forms when we're doing tryouts. And so we take those notes, we basically hide the players, but we know who it is from the numbers, but we don't know, and the evaluators don't know when they're going through it. But we use the coaches' notes as part of the feedback during tryouts. And so we encourage you to continue to do that, and just ask that we don't have to chase you down if at all possible to get it done at the end of the year, because the longer it goes, the harder it is to remember. So it's when it's fresh, top of mind, right at the end of the season, or even before the last games at the end of the season, while it's really fresh, fill that out. Questions on that? Okay, so I think I am handing it over to Jody. Thank you, Jody. So thanks, that. Thank you all.
Okay, practices. If you by any chance looked at Sports Engine today, you will have seen that the last week of October practices are loaded. So yes, we have gyms in Waconia. We go to Trinity. We go to in Waconia. We go to Cologne Community Center. We go to Mayer, and we go to Norwood. We also did get some ISD 110 gyms this year. We're able to rent, and it was a big topic of conversation last year. We weren't able to rent because we're considered a third party. We're going to be able to get gyms this year. You may notice that we can't have a lot of people there, and a reason is we don't get ISD gym time until about 15 days into the month. So like, let's say October 15th, we'll get November's what we have available, and so by then, if I don't get enough gym time for all the practices, all the other facilities are full. So you'll see we're gonna use some gyms, but maybe not as much as you'd want, so just leave it out there. Practices are normally 90 minutes, sometimes 75 minutes if we run tight on gyms. We have 24 teams, so that's 48 practices a week, so that's quite a few for gym time. Your practices will be, we're going to try to make it a little bit more consistent this year. So to start off with, girls are practicing Tuesdays and Fridays, and boys are Mondays and Thursdays. And that way we're going to try to be adding in a skills night this week with this year, which I think Darce will be talking about, but which will be on one of the opposite days. So you'll notice some more consistency on your schedule, hopefully. Don't forget to, Hakeem mentioned it, but RSVP and Sports Engine. If you need any help, let me know. But it's really important when it comes to things like COVID, contact tracing. We don't, and I have a slide on that later too, but we don't know where we're at with COVID right now. I guess I could just throw that in there. We're having more discussions next week with my sub MYS, but just use the RSVP to RSVP practices and everything. Let me see what else I want to say. The boys tournaments are posted, girls, they just have to get out there, it should be by this weekend, so you should be able to see all those in your Sports Engine calendars. There's a way in Sports Engine that you can also, move it straight to your Apple calendar or your Samsung or whatever you use, so if you need help with that, it's nice because it updates automatically. If one of your practices change, you don't have to always look in Sports Engine, it'll show you on your calendar, so. And then I think the last thing I have is to please remind your players to respect our facilities. I think we had 3 different conversations last year with different gyms reaching out to us saying kids are wandering the facilities, they're not in the gyms, they're messing around. We can't afford to lose any gym space, as you can imagine, so please just remind your players. That's it with practices. Any questions? Good deal. Go ahead, Deb.
So just to kind of add on to Jody's practices, she did mention that we are going to try to incorporate a skills night this year. A third, so it'll be potentially a third practice. That will be 1 hour in length, and it'll be multiple teams together at one practice. So maybe 2 teams, maybe like a girls' 5th grade gold and a 5th grade purple will practice together for that 1 hour with a trainer. So coaches will not necessarily be responsible to run those or even have to be there. But again, your 2 team practices are the most important. The third skills night, if you can at all make it work, it is just an opportunity to get your kids get their hands on the ball and be in the gym a little bit more, working on their fundamentals, working on their shot, just trying to create more opportunities for growth if those kids want it and it works for those families. So that schedule is still being tweaked. We're trying to find Waconia gyms so that we can keep those skill nights local. And so that information will be coming shortly. Onto the uniforms and spirit wear. Uniforms, if you've ordered uniforms, we are told that they will be here kind of that week of the 25th of October. So I think there's boys going to jamborees that first, October 31st, that weekend. So uniforms will be in that week. We will distribute them most likely to the coaches. And then from the coaches, we'll be able to go to the players from there. If you have any sizing issues, any quality issues, I would be the person to contact. Again, my name is Darcy. And that is in regards to uniforms. Spirit wear, the spirit wear link will go live. So I think Jody will send out a communication with that link. That will go live late tomorrow. And it is a very short window of open. As you guys can imagine, or if you've heard it all, apparel is really difficult right now to get, especially big brand stuff in terms of turnaround time and Nike and Under Armour and that sort of thing. So we are keeping a very short window of time. It'll open on tomorrow night and it will close the following Thursday, which is the 14th of October. So if you want anything, there's player stuff, there's adult stuff, there's ladies stuff. And that's just kind of a good way to go to other towns, other tournaments, and kind of support our WBA and our home community of Waconia. So if you have questions in regards to spirit wear, again, reach out to me. Spirit wear deadline, I said, will be next Thursday, the 14th, and delivery will be November 12th, that week of November 12th. So again, we apologize for the short window of time. It's just, they cannot guarantee what they have in stock. Like I said, shipments are a challenge right now, so apparel is a little bit tricky. So we're doing what we can. We'll work with what we have, and if you have questions in regards to apparel, don't hesitate to reach out and look for that link here late tomorrow night. So I think that is it. I'm going to hand it off to Noel to talk about tournaments. Tournament schedule, there you go.
All right. So I am the girls tournament director. From the girls side, I guess I'm not entirely sure about the boys schedule, but I believe that's posted from what Jody had said. We kick off our first tournament from the girls side starts in November. And then I think the last tournaments are in the second, third week of February. And the girls' schedule should be posted in Sports Engine, I believe in the next couple days is what Jody said. It should be available online, should you wanna look at that. We have everyone signed up for 8 tournaments per team. And teams do have the ability to add 2 additional tournaments, but that would be at your own cost, so the team would pay for those tournaments if you choose to play in a weekend that's not already scheduled and paid for by the WBA. Any questions on tournaments? All right, who's next?
I've got back on actually.
All right.
And I'm just gonna piggyback on Noel and what Jody said in regards to tournaments and COVID. Last year, obviously, everybody had to do the same thing, right? It was kind of mandated across the state. And so we're not sure with all the school districts doing different things, what those protocols will be in terms of travel basketball. So just know that we're doing the best to kind of navigate that. And we'll let you know as soon as we know things. Right? All right, playing time. Grades 4, 5, 6, and all of 7th and 8th grade gold and white. So again, 4, 5, 6, and 7th and 8th grade gold and white teams. It says minimum playing time for each player is 30% of the game. The basketball experience will be primarily focused on teaching and developing players' skills within the team context. So 30% of a game, each game, is the requirement in our handbook and in our policy. So coaches will obviously get more of this information in our coaches meeting. You know, sometimes teams have 11, which gets a little tricky. Sometimes teams have 8, which 30% with 8 players is not hard to do. But again, if you have questions as parents or you feel things are not adding up to that 30%, your first step would be a little bit of patience. Your second step would be to reach out directly to the coach, or have your player reach out to the coach. And if things don't resolve themselves within, you can go to our little consent form and let us know that. But please talk to your coaches first. So that is 30% for those younger grades, and the gold and white of 7th and 8th. Grades 7th and 8th grade purple, so those purple teams on 7th and 8th. When they're playing in A tournaments, we have an increased emphasis that will be placed on the players and the team performing at a higher competitive level. And so the expectation is that all players will get time each half, but there's no minimum percentage. So they'll get in the game, but there's no minimum requirement as far as the amount of time they'll actually play. Now, I've been part of WBA for a long time. We don't normally have a problem with this. Every kid is still playing a lot. You know, it's just on those tight games, on those top teams of those 7th and 8th graders, you know, those coaches, you know, they're going for the win. And so on those games that are close, you might see a little bit different playing schedule or a little bit different player rotation. And when the opportunity lends itself, you know, one way or the other, they try to make up those differences in those games. So again, we haven't had problems with not letting kids play. Every kid's in the game, every kid's on the court. But that expectation is a little bit different. And if you have questions, again, go to your coach first. If you have concerns, go to your coach first. And then if you need a review or a reminder, go to the policy of the handbook that kind of lays out the specific playtime rules. Anybody have any questions on that? No? Awesome. And I think,
Jody.
Jody, COVID update.
Yeah, so you kind of just covered the last thing with that. That's
My
okay.
bad.
That's okay. So Darcy said exactly what I was gonna say, so I'm just gonna even actually go back to practices a little bit. I forget that there's a lot of new families and you may not know what doors to go in at different facilities, like Trinity or Norwood Young America. So I will send out a communication with exactly all of our facilities, addresses, what doors to enter and everything, so you know where you're going. So I forgot about that. And then the other thing was, when you had mentioned, at tournament time, we don't know really what it looks like as far as like, if some facilities may require masks, some might not. We don't know yet. It depends on the facility of where we go, where our tournaments are. As far as practices, none of our practice facilities require it. But if tournament facilities do, your team managers are gonna be amazing in helping the coaches to communicate that to you guys. So I think the coaches should let you know who your team manager is. So I think that was all I was gonna say about COVID and practices that I forgot, so. Angie.
Oh, sorry. Mine is a little, I can't read that well. All right. Okay, so we're just gonna go over WBA committees. So in addition to the board, there are committees that operate throughout the season and handle a bunch of different things. The first is our tournament operations, and there are positions available. You do get your 8 hours of volunteering by doing that. It's mainly like the concession stands during our tournaments, and everything from the pre-ordering and picking up from Costco or Sam's or wherever we're getting the best deal, to the weekends and helping run our concessions. That's where we make the most. Our tournaments are one of our biggest fundraisers, and so food is what we normally make the most on. So if you are interested in that, please reach out, board at Waconia Basketball. We would love to have you. We're also going to be doing the COVID committee again this season. So we did that last year and it worked really well. Obviously last season was its own beast, and so hopefully this year will not be to that extent. But we asked that if we have a great group of parents, and so we found we had a lot of parents that were in the healthcare industry, working at Ridgeview or Lakeview, and so they volunteered their time. And so when we would get a COVID situation, they would help us out and guide, because they're obviously a lot more of an expert than some, our board members who aren't in it every single day. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in and you're in the medical field, please reach out to us. We do have positions on that committee. And again, like the ladies just said, we don't know to what extent we'll be regulated for COVID, but we just want to be proactive and be prepared. So we're looking for 2 to 3 parents for that committee. The other committees, we have an apparel and equipment committee, a volunteer committee, a player development, and fundraising and event planning. Those all they're full. And so I tell you this because at the end of the season, when we send out surveys, we will say, hey, are you interested in helping with one of these next season? And so just be on the lookout for that. A lot of parents obviously will roll off and they'll graduate out of the program with their 8th graders. And so there's always going to be opportunities. And all of those committees play a big part. So let us know. Tournament operations and COVID committee are the 2 that we need help with this season. Next is volunteer opportunities. So when you guys dropped off your kids at tryouts, you wrote a $150 check per player. We do not want to cash that check. We want you to volunteer 8 hours per player throughout the season. And so the ways that you can do that, the 2 biggest are our home tournaments. So we need lots of volunteers. For the boys tournament, we'll probably use the middle school and the high school. And then for the girls tournament, we'll probably be just at high school. Hopefully we'll get a lot of teams and we'll need 2 facilities. That'd be awesome. But that's your biggest opportunity. And so how that works is we create a sign-up genius of every spot we need help with, and then you will get an email with that link, and it's first come, first serve. So, but we send that email out to the whole association. So just be on the lookout for that. Our boys tournament is January 9th and 10th, and our girls tournament is the February 5th and 6th. So those are your 2 biggest opportunities for your volunteer hours. You can join a committee, like I just said, team managers. So I just sent out an email to all the teams that did not have a team manager yet, last night or tonight. So just, if you haven't been contacted, that means your team has a manager. But that is an easy way. It makes the life of our coaches easier. It gives our tournament directors 1 person to contact throughout the season, and it just helps have a smooth season. So easy way to get your 8 hours, or you can coach, and I know we have a lot of coaches in the room too, so that's another way to get your hours. Any questions on committees or volunteer hours? All right. So Nicole and Tina could not be here tonight, but if you know Nicole, she gave me plenty of talking points about her committee. They are the fundraising and community involvement committee. And so we already had our Hoppers Girls Night, which was a great success. Lots of teams. Our Boys Hoppers Night is coming up in October on the 29th. And it's just a great way for you to meet your other teammates, obviously your son, and even the girls can go to the boys. I know I have boys in the program and we went to the girls' night. But it's just a fun community event. Hoppers donates 50% of the proceeds from that night back to WBA. So it's a great fundraiser for us. It's easy. You can do takeout or you can stay and have a beer while your food is getting made, whatever your preference. But they are a lot of fun. And we do that every year. So it's just a really great partnership with Hoppers. Second, we have our Support Local campaign. So this kind of came out of COVID last year. Obviously, a lot of our local businesses and restaurants hurt during the COVID, during the shutdowns. And so WBA conducted a survey at the end of last season and just kind of picked the brains of our parents of what fundraisers would you like to do. And this was one that was at the top of the list. So we're excited to announce that the committee has partnered with a few businesses in town. So you'll see on the calendar, so on our website, there is an events calendar. We've partnered with Qdoba, Jimmy John's, Waconia Brewery, and those will all have a tie-in back to WBA. So it's just an easy way for you to get takeout or dine in at those places. That obviously benefits that business. And then we get some of the proceeds from that. They're completely optional, but they are supporting local businesses and they're helping us raise funds. Third event, it's not really a team or a fundraiser. We do team pictures in WBA. So not all club or travel sports in Waconia do that, but we do. And pictures are tentatively scheduled for the week of November 15th. Our past photographer that we've used forever moved to Florida, so lucky him. And so we found someone new this year, and they offered the coveted sport mats and attitude photos that we all know really well and that we've used in all the seasons past. So just be on the lookout for that. Those typically take place at the beginning of practice, I think is what we're going to try to do, or they might be a separate night. Coaches will communicate that to you. It's seamless, it's super quick, and the kids really have a fun picking out which pose they want to do, and it's a good time. Fifth is Pop Shots. So the high school program is going to let us do some Pop Shot events. We are scheduled for roughly 8 varsity basketball games. So 4 boys and 4 girls. So during halftime, if you've been to a varsity game basketball in the past, you've seen this. But during halftime, it gets really crazy, but it's a lot of fun. WBA provides a little halftime entertainment. So for $1, the kids can go out on the court and they shoot baskets. And it's kind of like, is it thunder or what's the lightning, the game. So, and if they win, then they get a ticket and then they get a liter of pop. So it's really affordable fundraiser. It's a lot of fun. It's very chaotic on the court. So if you're at the game and you see us out there, we'd love to have you shag balls because they go everywhere. But it's really exciting. It gets the kids engaged in the varsity programs. We are their feeder program, so it's just a good community event all around. And there's also gift certificates to local businesses that they get entered into if they make shots. And finally, you can blame this on Nicole next time you see her in town. And finally, our annual fundraiser is back. I'm sure you're all really excited. We are doing Heggy's Pizza again. I saw some cringes. Really, it is the easiest and slickest fundraiser that we have done. It's always been the most profitable, so we are bringing that back. It is our biggest fundraiser. It's going to be in the month of January. All players will be required to sell a certain number of Heggy's pizzas. There will be prizes for the top sellers and the top selling team. So look for more details to come out in December. It's really easy. Heggy's pizzas are delicious. I personally just set it out in my break room at my work, and my sheet filled up and my player got their 10 and it was good. So it's hopefully won't be too hard. I think that's it for me. You can't run away yet. Mr. Hickey.
Are you saying anything at the end?
Nope, I think you're closing out.
All right. So this is the last topic. So when you'll get out early, that's a good thing. Look, at the end of the day, just if you have feedback and concerns, we want to hear about it. And it's the way we learn. Our organization, we embrace it. We're trying to hear feedback. We consider it constructive. If you go on the site and you'll see contact us, you'll see what we call culture forms. And that's if you're seeing things from coaches, players, parents, yourselves, you have questions that you don't feel like are representing Positive Coaching Alliance, representing Waconia the way that you like to see us represented when we all go out, let us know. That's where you can tell us. Hit that contact us form on the WBA site and you'll see the culture form. You'll see it for parents, you'll see it for coaches. So we take that. The other thing is, I'll tell you, since I've been here, the feedback honestly is I'd say 95% constructive. I don't know if you know, not everyone on the board's volunteer. No one gets paid for it. We're really doing this so we can create an environment where our kids can learn a sport that we think is fun and where they can continue to get better. So we're not going into it, we're trying to figure out squeeze in time just like you. We're parents. We're, trying to balance all the other things. But at the end of the day, we want to create an experience that your son or daughter has a wonderful experience and learns to love the game of basketball, and that they get better at the fundamentals, and hopefully they go on and play at the high school, and then we create I think a positive experience for our town, our community, our kids. And so that's what this is about. And so if you're seeing things that you think that we can do better, tell us, because we really do take that feedback into consideration. If you have an idea that maybe we didn't think of, let us know. Don't hide it. And a lot of times some of the feedback from parents is, well, I told so-and-so on the board and I thought you knew. Just hit contact us. Then it goes to the entire board, and then we all see it. And that way you can make sure that it gets done, or at least gets communicated to us. Because sometimes, unfortunately, you tell one board member and they're like, oh, I thought, just let us know. We really do want to get better. We consider ourselves a learning organization, which means we don't assume that we have it all right. We continue to learn and grow, right? And so we either win or we learn. Either way, we're not losing, we're not failing. This is just about how do we create a better output, a better product for Waconia basketball, for your kids, and for the community. That's really it. So we thank you, because none of this, basically you're volunteering your time, taxing you, right? So none of this happens without you. None of this happens without the board. We really appreciate, honestly, the time and effort that gets put in. I can tell you it's like a second job. It really is in a lot of ways, but it's a labor of love, because this is a fun sport. It really is. And if it's coming across throughout the year where your son or daughter isn't feeling like that, you need to let us know, because we don't, the last thing we want is to go the year and just like they had a terrible experience and there was something we could have done midway through the year, or some conversation that could have been had, or some correction that could have been made, because that's what this is all about. It really is a fun sport. This is a sport that, honestly, I hope we get a chance to do forever. I want to be a part of it for as long as I can. So
Well, I'm gonna record that. Can you?
I didn't say the board. Whoops. No, seriously though, but thank you. So appreciate your time. Thanks for making this a
We
priority.
need coaches.
Say it again.
Coaches. Really.
Yeah, so coaches, after this, so at 7 o'clock, coaches, you're gonna go down this hallway, right, this first hallway, you're gonna make a right, go down that hallway to the left, D110. We have a Positive Coaching Alliance meeting, so the double goal coach, that'll be an hour. And then, board, the rest of the board, is there anything we missed? Anything else you wanna, any other announcements?
Yeah, last thing, coaches, before you go grab your backpack back over here in the corner before you go down to the coaches meeting. 4th grade coaches, there are larger bags that have a few basketballs in them, and then your backpack for tournaments is on the inside, so there should only be 3 of them back there.
And then inside your coach's backpack are your coach code of conduct form and your player's code of conduct that we just ask that you share with your players during your team meeting and keep those for the season. That's how you can hold them accountable to behaving. So that's all in there.
Anything else? Any questions you have? Board, anything else? Thank you for your time, coaches. We'll see you over there in about 15 minutes. Thank you.